Good evening, Razorback fans. Welcome to the Thursday edition of the Hog Talk podcast presented to you by Vision Exteriors. Adam is back off of some well-needed PTO. He submitted that request a couple weeks ago, so I granted it. So it's been weird. Last Thursday went solo. So, hey, I tried to hold the fort down, and it's weird, Adam, because I can honestly just plug my part in and have you respond to that, because we're going to be talking about the same exact thing. Because here we are. They made the announcement that tennis is back. Then we have, regionals coming up, SEC baseball regular season, but we'll pull back the curtain on. I know everybody is excited about the tennis program coming back, but then Best of Arkansas Sports comes out with an article that we'll touch on. But just initial thoughts before we deep dive into that, when you've seen just everything that's been going on since our last talk.
There's been solo, and which we're going to go over quite a bit tonight. But let's just start with today. So with tennis, my initial thought was essentially you got a bunch of pressure. It was bad publicity for you to shut down these two programs, which I know there were some other Power Four schools that shut down different programs after Arkansas was just kind of the first. But it was a bad look. And essentially we all knew why you did it, to pump that $5 million into football. And whatever the case may be, and we'll dive into that later, you brought tennis back. So I props to, I'd say props. I'm glad for the tennis coach and the players, for them to be able to come back. 3 weeks?
Yep.
3 weeks is all it was. Then if you want to go to, hell, where are we going to go to? Football, the Ryan's Coach Silverfield's all in on his road show and whatnot. Let's go into that a little bit. Yeah, the quick thing, and Ruskin and Zach have been talking about this a lot lately, and I 1000% agree with them. If you didn't shut down all these Razorback clubs, the local ones, you wouldn't have to do this. And you're also still alienating the Delta part of the state. So then there's that. But at least you're trying to do something. And then shout out to, the guys at the combine holding down their fort. Billy Richmond's making a name for himself, stepped up a little bit. People have kind of looked at a little bit shocked at Malik Thomas only being 6'3" barefoot. I think they were expecting him more at 6'5"-ish. There's some even talking that he needs to be 6'8" before he really could make a splash in the league, whatever happened. All in all, after all this is said and done, I'm still holding out faith and hope that we see Malik Thomas and Billy Richmond in Arkansas Razorback uniforms next year, pulling in around $2 million in NIL, because I think that's what they'll garner. So there's been a whole lot, and then you've got Arkansas and Kentucky that's started. Yes. So you've got a whole lot going on.
Yeah, we're going to have a jam-packed show tonight again, and I think what we'll do is we'll earmark the whole basketball. We'll move that to Monday, because there's a lot of questions that goes around with Malik Thomas, Billy Richmond, them coming back. Should they? And if they don't, what will that leave with Arkansas? Is there a lot of the fans, is a lot of even Coach Cal hanging on the fact that them two come back? So we'll just table that, fans, and we'll talk about that on Monday. But just a lot to get into. We'll start with the big news of the day. And yes, there's a lot of people that were excited about it. And I will say, first off, they have every right to be. Last Thursday, Adam, I don't know if you tuned in or watched any of what we had going on, but I'm proud of the people who stood up. The title of tonight's show is "The People Have Been Hurt." You stood up against the big bag monster. You pulled the curtain behind the Wizard of Oz, and you showed them that he thought he could just do this, and it was almost like a slap in the face. And it's almost a playbook from the Chuck and Bo show, calling the fans ignorant. You thought the fans would be ignorant. You thought they wouldn't see this. You thought that you just doing this photo, or what do they call it? The dump at 3:30 on a Friday.
Yeah.
Nobody would catch this and nobody would care. Well, no, we care. Everybody cares. And the fact that you had people raise more money, and I've said this, but yet I'm going to give credit because they talked about it today. Ruskin and Zach talking about you had a tennis program raise more money than you have since you've been here.
Mhm.
That's embarrassing. And then you pull the stunt today. So, I mean, as much as I want to be happy and I want to be right there with everybody else, I seen Courtney Mims celebrating and interviewing DJ Williams, 4th and 5. They're having the coach on. I really want to pull back the curtain a bit because there was a part in this article that Best of Arkansas Sports wrote today by Andrew Hutchison, who I'll tell you this. I know there's been a lot of people who have been covering it, but Andrew Hutchison, Best of Arkansas Sports, have really been doing a kick-ass job every day, making sure that we're up to date on what's going on with these articles. But the big thing is, Adam, I'll get your take on this. And it says the path involves establishing endowment that could fund the sport perpetuity. So basically, he wants them to do all the funding for him, which, you know what, if they want to bring it back, I get that part, in which I will accept that part of it if that means getting it back. But it said no amount was given in Thursday's press release, but a UA spokesperson told Best of Arkansas Sports the school is looking for $50 million, and which then at 5% interest generate $2.5 million needed to run the two programs. You're asking more for a tennis program than what you would be doing for the basketball program. $50 million. And then here's the bombshell, Adam. Yurchek added in his statement that the athletic department and Razorback Foundation will monitor those efforts to ensure they don't detract from any of our other broader fundraising priorities, as well as confirm the progress towards Arkansas tennis's long-term sustainability past this initial investment. So I've got this retweeted, quoted, so go on our Facebook page, our Twitter. But him saying that is, we want you to raise money, but don't raise too much money, or we're going to take some of that money from you and we're going to give it to the other programs. Mm-hmm. That is BS. That is, you're robbing them and you're being an a-hole. You're being a jerk. And I think this right here, this last paragraph that I just read to you, Adam, pisses me off more than him even taking it away, because you're basically saying, you showed me up, I'm going to give you a big target, but if you do get that big target, don't do too much to where it takes away from my sports. Mm-hmm. That's a big slap in the face.
I looked at that after I read that and heard that and just thought, so y'all want to see where the money's coming in and basically look at it and be like, why aren't you giving this to football?
Yeah.
Or can we give this to football? Or, hey, tennis only needs it. Whatever the case may be, you're sitting here, you're going to monitor who is donating, or you're going to say, hey, you're donating to this tennis. Why don't you donate this to football? I mean, you're basically going with your hands out to people that saved your tennis program, because I'm back on what I said 3-4 weeks ago whenever all this news broke out. Y'all cut the tennis programs because you wasted time on finding money in the budget to save them. You were given the task back in whatever it was, January, to come up with 15 million or whatever it was, and you didn't do it. You waited until the last minute, and so you cut 2 programs. And then I also wondered too, and this was a question that was brought up on halftime from a fan, I don't know where, but his question, maybe I never even thought about it. And I'm not saying anybody here has the answer, but the question kind of crept up. Does this have anything to do with Title 19? That they don't want to come out and say, maybe that they started getting a little bit of heat because of Title 19, or Title 9, I'm sorry, not Title 19, absolutely. But Title 9, yeah, you cut a men's and women's program, but there's still more to it than just having balance of men's and women's programs. So did you start getting heat for cutting these programs abruptly from up above, being above the university even? I'm talking, government level, not to get into all that.
Well,
but,
I mean,
so
but
you
had
decided,
Tom Mars,
we've got to bring these back.
You had Tom Mars, I mean, a lawyer talking about it. You had Matt Brown, who we had on talking about it. So again, he thought he's going to be able to do this and nobody was going to check him on it. Well, guess what? We have internet today. We have people who will check. We have these Matt Brown, that go back and watch our interview with him, is the fact that he knows all of the logistics of this. You have people checking, and that's what I loved about it. But yeah, he thought he could get away with it. And the fact that you got to think this knee-jerk reaction was, and I don't even know what he was thinking. I mean, because you're only talking about 2.5 million. And I made the point, if you're an athletic director at an SEC school and you can't keep a $2.5 million program afloat, and you got to cut a program in the SEC, you don't deserve to be an athletic director. You have no competition in the state. You have one job, football money, and you can't do that. You're cutting the tennis program because you can't even raise enough money for your stadium or your football program. And now we're looking at possibly what's going to happen with the future of baseball, that now Dave Van Horn's needing more money. You're getting to the spot where Cal's going to need more money. Are you going to go to and I'm sorry to kind of go this route with it, but would you even dare approach Coach Cal or Dave Van Horn? You can raise money for your basketball and baseball program, but don't do too much because it might take away from the football program. Would you ever see him doing that?
I would love to see or hear that conversation for somebody to tell the likes of John Calipari or Dave Van Horn, don't do too much. And this right here from Ty, what the hell would Tyson do if HY, or I think this is more of what would HY do if Tyson said, hey, I'm gonna shift my basketball money elsewhere? Valid question. What's going to happen? And we've talked about this before. Hey, we've got 4 to 5 years of John Calipari. When he retires, where's that money going to go? Is it just going to be like, hey, go back in his pocket? Is it going to shift it elsewhere? Obviously, 4 to 5 years. I think we can all bet that $100-year check will be nowhere in sight. God forbid. I
hope he's gone. I don't want him anymore.
What are they going to do then? Because we're already seeing the shift of, we still don't even know what Learfield's doing. We don't know what Arkansas is doing. We have no idea what's going on. Now we're circling this grassroots. We've got to recruit Arkansas again. I have no idea what's going on in the University of Arkansas athletic department.
Yeah. And it's got to start from the top. There's just no way you can, and I had a back and forth a couple weeks ago with a super fan about they're playing the fiddle as the ship sinks. That's you have this group, and it's almost like, and there's part of the media. You have media shows that they're scared to say the truth. They want to sugarcoat everything. They want to play favorites. They want to sunshine pump everything. They want to project and claim it's AI, but they want to use their platform, but yet put AI tag on it so they don't get in trouble, or they can backtrack on it that Arkansas is going to win 6 games this year.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot of sunshine being pumped, and you have people writing articles about how they're going to go out and they might compete with Utah or Georgia, but don't dare come for Bobby Petrino but yet you glazed over him for 10 years. But everybody's scared. Not everybody. There's a lot of people that are scared, and I'm wondering why. In today's age, and I'll even say somebody like the Chuck and Bo show, or some of these writers like Sports Illustrated, SI, people can branch off and do their own thing now. You look at all these meteorologists that have left network television and doing their own platforms and making more money doing it. So what are we scared of? You can get a press conference 20 minutes afterwards. And are you really that curious over a press conference of a 2-10 football team? If you know that you can go on there and look at a press conference from basketball or baseball, that can be uploaded in 10, 15 minutes afterwards. You're just moving everybody's timeline back 20 minutes. Take a stand and really stand up for what's going on in Arkansas. We need the bigger platforms to say something. And I'm glad that there are few that are calling him out or not scared of. So that's what we need more of. And that's what it's going to take to change. But there's still a lot of people that are so scared to speak up. And the fans are that way. They don't want their tickets. They don't want their meet and greet access taken from them. If they would stop going, then we would have change.
Yeah. And I mean, this is the one from the Oklahoma series, but yeah, we were at let me see here. Yeah, $9,900 jackpot for the Oklahoma series. So
That's how much is this costing the university to run this? I
that's what
would
I
love to know
wonder.
how much this costs. You again,
I,
I've said this for the millionth time. You're on your third wife and linked you. You had Blueprint, you had Edge. Where's this one Razorback? Where's one Razorback at? We're talking about one Razorback, and you cut a tennis program, and then you threaten them if they raise too much money. Well, don't take away from their darling
well,
program.
in his statement too made it very clear a few different times on this being a short-term reinstatement.
Yeah.
So, here's the thing, and Matt Jones brought this up on halftime when they were discussing this, and it was a thought that was in my head too. Is we all know how sports work, especially today when it comes to recruiting, NIL, things of that nature. All these windows, all this, that, and the other. So for 3 weeks, you cut this program. For 3 weeks, you made it known that this program would not exist. Now you're saying, hey, on a short-term basis, so basically, let's say we're going to go with this next school year, you're going to have a program, but we're going to be reevaluating. What do you think that does for tennis recruiting?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
What are you going to do? What are these coaches supposed to do to get athletes to come here to a program that may or may not be here the following year?
Mm-hmm.
You have now screwed over these coaches and the players that do want to be here or thought about coming here because they're going to be like, I'm not too sure about going there because the next year they may not be there.
Well, and another thing to add, I haven't seen the details, but what if they're not promised the same thing that these athletes were? What if, okay, well, we might cut the program, but we're still going to honor your scholarship? What if now you're not grandfathered into that anymore? If we cut your program, you knew there was that chance. So that guess what? Y'all are screwed. Mm-hmm. And here it is. It's a big thing. It's a big FU because Hunter Yurchek feels bothered that he had to do this. He felt bothered that he put out a challenge and they accepted his challenge. So he's going to set this thing up for fail. He reminds me of that dumbass chancellor on Old School. He did everything to sit there and try to, the one that the short guy,
Oh, yeah.
He tries to set them up for failure and do as much as he can. I think that's what he's doing. Because think about it. If this thing doesn't pan out, he's fleeced these people for $5 million. And if he could get more, guess what? Now he can cut the program. And then where's that money? Say they raise another $25 million. Oh, the program don't exist. Or what are we going to do with this? That's what he wants to do. He wants to set this program up for failure and then steal all that money and put it into another program. That's what he wants to do.
It needs to be looked into, which nothing's going to happen, especially when you start bringing in the Razorback Foundation and things that can't be FOIA'd and things of that nature. So that's one of the things. Then it being tied with Razorback Foundation is going to be miss me with all that. I mean, you screwed over this program. You got backlash from it, whether it was from the fans, alumni, up above, like bringing up Title IX and things of that nature. You brought him back, but you're still saying, hey, you're on a short leash. We're still going to be reevaluating you next year, maybe the year, however it is. Or in 6 months, you're going to say, oh, hey, this really isn't going to work. We're going to let you go again. I mean, there's all these multitude of things that are going on. The fact is you cut $2.5 to $5 million, whatever it was, for these two programs because you couldn't go find $15 million elsewhere when you were given that task in January.
And you had some tennis guys show you up. I mean, really. Here, right here, he says the raffle can't be costing too much. Au contraire, he's outsourced this. There is a third party that's helping run this. They're not doing it all through the university. There's a third party that is helping run and manage this raffle, like the website and all that stuff. So I'm sure they struck some kind of deal with them to do this. So, that's the part when I say how much is this costing them is this is outsourced, Captain outsourced for an AD. So right here, egg on his face. I mean, it's funny. He's punching air right now because he didn't think this would work out. He didn't think anybody would speak up for it. And I am proud. I'll say it again a week later. I am proud of every media member, every podcaster, every journalist, every radio show that has stood up and supported this, because last week a lot of people thought it was just about the tennis program. 20% has to do with the tennis program, and 80% of the fact that, again, this is the greatest fan base in the country. Razorback fans, people, donors stood up against the big bad wolf and they won. And that's what I got from it. They won and he doesn't like it.
And I think that the fans, I think that the alumni, even the athletes, whoever that spoke up during this, or even if you didn't stand up because you didn't think anything would happen, but you saw that something happened, use that as your footing to like keep speaking out on all this stuff. Because here's the thing, it's, you know, you and I have gone back over this time and time again over the last 3 years, talking about, you know, just things, us speaking out, us having our hands slapped, things of that nature.
I definitely touched on that, and I did go off the rails on it. But
I just look at it kind of like, why sit down and be quiet? And especially, I'm proud too of the media members that are finally putting their foot down and not giving in to the threats from this athletic department.
Absolutely,
props to them, because I will say over the last 2 to 3 months, two months, probably maybe a month. Like I truly applaud even ESPN Arkansas, because I feel like from about Ruskin and Zach always speak their mind, but even with halftime, I feel like that there's a little bit more voice on there.
And I think
I'm saying you're never going to get that from Chuck and Bo.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I think it has to do with you had an athlete involved. Matt Jones played there. And I think he can see this from a different point of view, and he felt offended that what's going on. And he's like, no, man, no, I'm going to speak up. I'm going to speak out. And so I applaud everybody. And I did touched on that a lot last week about, you know, the hand slapping, and, you know, that's where me and you started. That's how we clicked. That's how we linked up, and how we're hosting the show now is our interest in the small ones. And it's to me, it's like, what are they going to do? Tell us we can never be media members for football, basketball, baseball?
Pull another T-shirt off of our T-shirt store. I mean, guess
what?
You pull off one, I make 6 more.
Yep.
Is what it
so is. And it is what it is on that. But again, before we move on to the next subject, thank you for everybody. Thank you everybody in our comment section who's joining in the fight and standing up and saying enough is enough with it, because this is the small fire we needed for everybody to really. And now, because guess what he didn't realize, now your ass is on a national stage getting laughed at and clowned on, and everybody in your own fan base wants you gone. Now you're the one. You're talking about big egg on your face. You've got a national egg on your face, and I love every minute, because you deserve every bit of it. For those people who want to sit there and play the band as the ship sinks, stand with him. You go to the next school with him. And I'll talk to the big super fans. I don't care. If you're standing for him, you could go to the next school with him. Because if you were truly about Arkansas and the Razorbacks, you wouldn't be standing for the athletic director that we have. And who cares about your special privileges? That's what you care more about, your privileges and your front row seats and your meet and greets and your little handshakes and your little autograph pictures, than really standing up for the athletes and for the fans.
Because guess what? I mean, obviously, like we've seen, University of Arkansas has had however many athletic directors, however many, you know, all these people to come through. Why is there any sort of loyalty to the athletic director that we have right now that has no loyalty to his own athletes, coaches, or fans?
Yep. And exactly. That's the thing, because he don't have any loyalty to us. So, I mean, but what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back and pivot. We're going to finish up. We'll talk some NBA combine. We'll talk regionals for Arkansas softball, and we'll finish things off with the baseball series against Kentucky. We'll be right back after a quick break from our sponsors at Vision Exteriors. Looking to enhance your home's curb appeal? Look no further than Vision Exteriors. As your trusted roofing, siding, and exterior experts, we're here to transform your property. Our skilled team ensures your job is not only functional but also aesthetically pleasing. Along with roofing, we also offer window, gutter, and siding installation to boost your home's appearance with our quality options. Visit us at www.visionexteriors.com or call us at 479-397-4770. Let's make your vision a reality. I want to welcome you back to the Hog Talk podcast. Again, pivoting to more positive vibes, positive views. Good little segue pivot into it. But Arkansas softball, Adam, starts their regional this weekend. I'm very excited about Arkansas's chances. I touched on that a little bit last week, Adam, about how Arkansas feels. I feel like they're set up with the draw they got in regionals and super regionals with their pitching staff and their hitting. They are set up for a serious run and a legitimate shot this time to Oklahoma City. And I really like how things are setting up for them.
Oh yeah. We talked about before with Arkansas softball and Coach Steifel doing those things from, what got you the season before, what were your shortcomings the season before. Whether it was hitting, whether it was coaching, whether it was pitching, whatever. Out of all the coaches and all the sports at Arkansas, she has done the best job to go find those pieces, to go figure out what gaps did we have that ended our season. And she's put it all together. And yeah, Arkansas, you're going to host the regionals, you're hosting the regionals, hosting super regionals, go in there. You've got I don't want to say easy path because anything can happen, just like in baseball. You never know. But you've got a path in front of you that is very much in your favor to get you to Oklahoma City. And I think that this is the most put together team that Coach Steifel has had and the most dangerous team that Coach Steifel has had.
Yeah, absolutely. Peyton Burnham, Robin Hiram, you have so much threat there with that duo. I want them to stay healthy. Timmerman has been phenomenal too. It's one of those where if they can get that triple threat, they can really hold it down. That's the biggest key, because we can see their hitting if they go in lulls and stuff, and they've shown it at times. They showed that against Alabama. I mean, where things could get away from them. But Alabama's a really good team. I think Alabama took a few years off and they're back. So that's one of the things where you got to take that momentum and keep going, because even though I'm not too fond of their coach, he's still a good coach. And Alabama's still Alabama when it comes to softball. Then you still got Texas, which you've beat them. I mean, that was a huge series win, beating Texas in Austin. But I mean, I was talking about the pitching rotation. Peyton Burnham, 1.89 ERA, 12-3 on the year. Robin Hiram, 1.9 ERA, 15-6. And then you have Sailor Timmerman, Cam Harrison, and Lexi Keene. Lily Faye McWhorter. That was the freshman phenom that I said to watch out for. But, with the batting lineup that this team has, I mean, we've seen Arkansas with a gauntlet lineup. I don't know if I would put this lineup with the best that we've seen out of Arkansas. I want to see them in postseason play, but when you've had Bree Ellis, Lenny Malkin, Gibson, and you've had so many solid hitters, back to back. You had Tiana Bell, Brinley Bain, Dakota Kennedy, Kylie Walkoff, Carly Davison, Ella McDowell's doing, all these girls. There's only one person, Kennedy Miller, hitting under 300. That's phenomenal. So then they match up with Durham. Granted, they get out of this. They have their regional with Washington. Let me go back to their home, make sure I get all the names. Fordham, Washington, and South Florida. That's right. Yeah. Arkansas plays Fordham at 4:30 tomorrow. Washington, South Florida at 7. So you know how that goes with the double elimination. And then they will face the winner of the Durham regional, which of course is Duke, Arizona, PTSD from Arizona, and then you have Howard and Marshall. So I love the fact that you could host, and if they can keep their pitching staff and everybody healthy, I love their chances to get to Oklahoma City.
And I think we're seeing too, and this is something that we've talked about also, and you know, getting softball and Coach Deifel money.
Mhm.
I think this is kind of the potential breakthrough to see from the softball team what we've seen on the baseball team on being a regular, whether, Omaha for baseball, Oklahoma City for softball. You're right here on the cusp of being a regular in Oklahoma City. So whatever Coach Deifel needs, you need to get it to her.
Over the bag. Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
I mean, get
Absolutely.
her team the bag, keep her here, keep her locked in, because you are on the cusp of having this softball program a regular in Oklahoma City for years to come.
That's what it's going to take. I think with the fact that they have been so close. You got Courtney Deifel and Colby Hale. Colby Hale's made it to the very end, almost to the final cup, final four. I cannot remember the terminology, what they call the final four in soccer, but he's been right there winning SEC championships and making it through the NCAA tournament. Then you have Coach Deifel making it to super regionals and just being so close to making it to Oklahoma City. I think that you get this team to Oklahoma City, you get them to the Women's College World Series. I think they should have no problem getting that donor, getting that person who wants to stand up for women's sports and raise their own money. And that's what it is. But also, that's where we brought in the importance of having other ways. And we don't know. You look at what we were talking about, Adam, when we were on the last time, Amazon and Duke, there's so many opportunities where it should be a no-brainer where Arkansas could raise extra money for the big three sports and then let that 20.5 million go to these other sports. I just don't see in this day and age, when you have a heads up, where this stuff is going, why you can't use half of or more than half of this money for other sports and use your big donors, use your Walmarts and Tysons. But then again, that goes to show you maybe we do need another athletic director. Maybe that's the reason why. Maybe they don't believe in you to man the ship anymore, and they're not going to give you any money until you do so, or until something happens.
There's too many powers that be, whether it's athletic directors, whether it's chancellors, or even the head coaches that don't want to buy into NIL. And I totally understand why, but at the same time, there's too many of these people in these positions that are too comfortable in the sense that they can do just enough to get by, that they don't have to change, they don't have to adapt. And I think that's what we're looking at with ours right now. It's just the fact of, I don't want to do it, so I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
I don't believe in this. Or maybe, hey, I see where all this is going. Like, I get it, blah, blah, blah. But it would be too much work for me to actually have to do something. So I'm just going to act like I'm completely against it so that I don't have to mess with it.
Yeah. I mean, he's too busy being
just
on
too much
the committee. He's too worried about the committee job. And I think if you were running a subpar program, I think you would want to spend more time trying to fix that, but you're not. You're not. And this goes to all the sports. I mean, now we're off the tennis thing. We're on to the whole broad spectrum of you can't even raise money for your football. You can't get your a stadium name, but yet you want to go play house with the college football committee people. You want to go do that, and that seems more important to you. So maybe it's more important to go find another job or go find another school.
I don't know. It's a whole bunch of laziness, a whole bunch of people that are set too much in their ways. But I think what it does too, and us just bringing this up with these athletic directors and coaches and whatnot that don't want to fundraise and don't want to sell and don't want to this and don't want to that. It's just shedding light on this kind of old school mentality of, I'm just going to sit back and let everything happen how it happens. And whenever I've got to put my foot down, I'm going to put my foot down. I'm going to shake hands. I'm going to kiss babies. And now that you're actually having to put in a little bit of work, you're showing how lazy you are.
Yep. Exactly.
I mean, hell, you can't even make posts about your Razorback raffle anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but you know what? That's just because there's been so many people, including us, that's clowned him over it. I mean, he don't even take that seriously. I don't even think he wants to do that. I think he was just trying to be petty. And if it works, it works. It doesn't, it doesn't. He don't care that, he don't look at that outcome of the $4,500 payout to the fan, because he don't care about the fans. So what do you think it don't matter. It's the fact that somebody else isn't doing it, making money off of
Mhm.
it. So he don't care. It's legitimate house
Mhm.
money.
I've been against this before, but you know what? As we stand right now, Houston Nutt, where are you at? Come be our
Yep.
athletic director. I was
Hey,
against it before, but at this point in time, is anybody that can sell this program, that can sell the university, that can sell the state of Arkansas, Houston Nutt, come on down, kick Hunter Yurchek out of here.
yeah, I'm for it. I mean, because at this point, I think that's what we would need, that spark.
Yeah,
We would need that spark because that's what you need to be as a fundraiser. There's your fundraiser right there.
100%.
He'd get all the money in the world. I mean, that's the thing. So, and then I just see a lot of promise with all these programs. That's the biggest thing. Is I know we're focusing on football, but that's your breadwinner. That's your moneymaker.
Mhm.
But even though going 2-10, you're still bringing in $70 million in TV money. You have a surplus of $7 million for your whole athletic program, but you need to cut money. That's another part of it I don't understand. But we get softball in Oklahoma City. We get them rolling. It starts tomorrow. Arkansas will play Fordham at 4:30. I will look for Burnham being the starter. I think they'll run this like they did in the SEC tournament. Um, have Burnham be your starter, and then go into Saturday with Robin Heron, and then go that route, because that way, if you do get to a best 2 out of 3 situation, you'll have Robin Heron ready to go, and then close this thing out. Hopefully, they run through it, sweep through it. Don't need an if game or the double dip game, and then you welcome in the winner from the Durham region next weekend in Bogle Park. So, moving on to the NBA Combine, Adam, we're seeing a lot of things. We've seen a lot of things from Darius Acuff, but there's been a lot of hype around Billy Richmond. There's been a lot of hype around Malik Thomas. And just from what you've gathered, just from what you've seen, what is the chances? I know we teased that we'll go over the outcome of it, but what do you think the chances are that Malik Thomas and Billy Richmond come back?
At first I was on board that I could see it both happening. And then as we got closer to the combine, I was still in that mindset. Well, I think Malik Thomas is going to test pretty well, because they were both going there for grades, going there to see what they could get. One of the last interviews that I had mentioned um, before the combine, shortly after March Madness, it was Coach Calipari with, I think, the Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania, one of the Pittsburgh newspapers up there, but it was about Malik Thomas, and he stood pretty firm that if Malik Thomas, was needed that upper half of the first round draft grade to stay in the draft. If it was late first round, like, he was coming back. And then as you started the combine, got closer to the combine and started it, you kind of started getting the sense like, hey, Malik Thomas is done. Like, he's not coming back. And then I listened to a little clip of him during the combine, and he was just basically like, TBD, to be determined. Because it's not that he's testing bad by any means, but like I mentioned earlier, he measured 6'3" barefoot. People are expecting him to be about 6'5". Um, and there's even NBA scouts and other people talking that he needs to be around 6'8" for his type of play. So I think that this is something, because here's the thing, especially with the way the NBA draft works, the lottery, the pay scale, the things of that nature. If you're flirting with the 28 to 30th pick, you could easily fall to the second round just like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So you're no longer looking at this guaranteed money. Why would you not come back to Arkansas for $2 million a season for one more season to grow literally, physically, and then up your game a little bit?
But maybe it's so you change your game, because I really think he needs to be more assertive like Darius Acuff. You're talking about the height difference. That's what really surprised me with him, was coming into it. I thought, man, we're going to have a dynamic duo, which they did. But I was disappointed in his assertiveness, in the initiative. If Acuff was off the court, we seen a little bit more from him, but it wasn't like, I want him to take it to the rim. I wanted him to, be No, I'm not saying he's good. I want him to be exactly as good as Darius Acuff, but I want to see more out of him.
Yeah.
Taking it to the rack, poking on people, dunking it, drawing the foul, getting to the line. But when you're talking about what you just said with that size difference, I mean, you're talking about 5 inches. That huge difference when, like you said, depending on the position you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we see how Trevor Brazil is. It's kind of the same way for him. He's a stretch 4, maybe a 5 in some instances, but he's playing undersized.
Mm-hmm.
So, that goes into where, yes, and these are drills. You can look really good in drills, but I mean, you had AJ, tanking. I think he's tanking like
I thought that too.
So it's how you do in the interview, and they're going to look at your tape. If you want to go off of skill, he's got the skill, but that's going to get you in the G League.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, Billy Richmond has upped his stock.
Yeah,
I think that he basically took himself as not even being drafted potentially late first round. I just think that both of these guys, and I've said this before all of this, I've said this during the season when we've talked about the NBA draft, whatever else. And this doesn't just go for these guys. This goes for any NBA prospect. If you are not a lottery pick in this day and age with NIL, unless you're just out of eligibility or just absolutely do not want to play college basketball anymore, there is no rhyme or reason for you to go to the NBA draft.
Yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason for you to risk that money with the money that is out there in the NCAA, because that guaranteed money drops significantly after the lottery picks. So why would you not come back for it? And we've seen it too, because you went from 2021, there were over 330 players in the NBA draft. There are 79 this year. So that right there, because of the shape of how NIL and whatnot there is no point in risking your future, because this is at this point, if you go and you get drafted late first round or you fall into the second round and now you're having to deal with the G League, or you're going, hey, guess what? I guess I got to go overseas, college is done or whatever. You've now screwed your NBA future. So unless you are a lottery pick, do not go to the NBA draft.
The only way I would even play devil's advocate on that is if a certain team had 2 very solid picks, and let's just throw it out there. We're going to pick Acuff with the first pick. If you're there for our second pick in the second round, we're going with you. Or, hey, we're going with Boozer. If you're there for our next pick in the second round, we want you. So you're saying, yes, we're taking you in the second round, but you and Cam together could be a solid duo and get minutes in the NBA. That would be the only exception. Depending on your role, if they still seen you, yes, you're a second round, but you're still going to get a lot of minutes. You're going to be in the rotation. Then I would see it. But like you said, how we're seeing the new age of basketball, and it's a 3-pointers league anymore. I'm telling you, I mean, that's where I don't think I agree with your saying Billy Richmond raised his stock more, because he's more of a dog than Malik. You got to either be able to chunk up a 3, or you got to be able to Euro step to the lane, take it to the rim, and get fouled or push off. And, all these intangibles that I haven't seen Malik Thomas do. I think both of them, I think Billy Richmond needs to come back. 6'6", 205 is what they have him listed on the roster. I don't know what he was at the combine, but you're talking about Malik Thomas was 6'3", 185. So either you're going to have to put some weight on and get some muscle. I think both of them need that to get stronger, but yet get quicker.
And shout out to Darius Acuff. You want to talk about a guy that, I mean, because we're excited about the possibility of Malik Thomas and Billy Richmond coming back, because I think it's coming closer and closer to fruition to happening that we're going to see these two back in Fayetteville. And I'm not saying I'll put money on that, but that's where my heart is right now. But shout out to Darius Acuff, because I mean, you've been sitting here flirting with that 6 to 7. We've talked about 5, fifth, number 5 pick overall. But to come in, when everybody thought you were going to be about 6 foot, maybe 6'1", and you come in 6'2", barefoot with a 6'7" wingspan, and then you go and you shoot 72% in your 3-point drills. The only person ahead of you was, I forget who it was. Was it no? It was Darren Peterson, I believe.
Yeah.
Only person that shot
more. Yeah,
he only hit one more. So if you want to talk about somebody that just upped your draft stock even more when you were already flirting with a top 5 pick, props to you, because you've now made even more eyes on you for teams that weren't sure. That they didn't know if they wanted to take the risk. Like, you've now taken those teams that were like, hey, we may not need a point guard to, oh shit, we might need to grab this guy. So Darius Acuff has upped his draft stock.
It sends a message to Malik and Billy. Look what this dude's doing. He's a lock and he's still giving it his on. Look, he went from probably 6 to 7. Now maybe did he go up to a 4? But I mean, it's just the mentality of, you're good. That's why I don't like the Peterson kid from Kansas. He knows he's really good, but he doesn't play like he plays.
Well,
like
and now we have the Kansas coming out a week or so ago talking about that he had taken too much creatine. Oh, and that's all. I mean, we're playing damage control at this point. You're having his teammates and his coach come out saying that, like, oh, that's why he sat out, because he was taking too much creatine and he was having full body cramps. That was the excuse on why his season and why he was out so much, was because of all these full body cramps. But y'all wait until 2 weeks before the combine to bring this up. And okay, if that's the case, because we know how, I mean, we can all read how college athletics are with whatever headlines. You're telling me that if you had one of your athletic trainers or one of your strength and conditioning coaches feeding him too much creatine, that they still have a job? No, they wouldn't be employed there anymore. So it's damage control. I mean, we've seen it for other sorts, but that's what their excuse is for why his season went the way it went, was because of creatine.
I don't want to misspeak because I'm not a health. My wife's, if I was to ask her, she would say, of course, depending on how much water you're drinking today, that has everything to do with it. But when you're maintenancing, you're taking 1 scoop a day. That's what you're supposed to take. But if you're loading, you take 20 grams. It's one of those, you could take up to 20 grams. You would have to seriously take a lot of creatine and be drinking hardly any water for that to happen. Because you can ask my wife, I'm drinking water now, but I'm the world's worst at staying on drinking water. But I take 10 milligrams of creatine a day and I've never cramped. To me, that is ridiculous, because that is like saying I put too much salt in my food and I gained 10 pounds.
I'm not going to name names, but if he's watching, you know who you are. I remember this was, I think, senior year, maybe junior year. Whenever I went to Northside, he was on the football team. He had taken too much creatine, or had been on too much creatine or whatever else. And he was an offensive lineman. And when they went down to get into positions to snap the ball, he just like passed smooth out, because he was just so, like, whatever was in his system was so jacked up. But anytime you hear about players and creatine, that's what my mind goes to, is that happened. But no, that was all damage control. But, back to the Arkansas guys, like, well, actually, one other thing, I was shocked at Boozer's vertical, and it was pretty awful for his height. I think it was only like 35 or something like that, which I'm not saying I could do better, because obviously I can't, but same time, I'm not sitting here trying out for the NBA.
Exactly.
But no, I wholeheartedly believe and hope that we see Malik Thomas and Billy Richmond back here. Before I thought it was, we're going to see Billy here. Malik's definitely, potentially gone, whatever. And then we just kind of saw their roles switch slightly, on Billy could stay in draft and we could see Malik back. Now, I think that both of them, they come back. I mean, I think it's something that it's better off if they come back as a pair versus one of them coming back and the other 3 staying, gone. I think it makes you feel like you've got an added camaraderie with each other, that y'all went and did the combine. And then y'all can come back and grow from that, versus like we saw with Carter Knox, which I know Trevor Brazil went to, but he was also, whatever. But them being able to go and see where they're at, go through this whole process, come back, I think it'll have Malik and Billy Richmond will have a stronger bond if they would both come back.
Absolutely. Well, and I think a lot of it has to do with, and this is selfish on a lot of fans, me, you, the fact that they weren't able to secure a big man, that makes it me think that they need both of them.
Have we ever gotten word on Malik Ewan?
I haven't heard. I mean, I don't know if he's going to get a waiver.
Yeah.
So, but still, yet even with him, I mean, because you're not having Pringle, I know that doesn't help whatsoever. But the fact that I think that has a lot to play into it, especially if Ewan does decide to try out the waiver and doesn't get granted, you're going to have to need both of them to come back in order to, if you want to say we're going to make a serious Elite Eight Final Four run. And again, like we teased, we'll talk about that more on Monday's show. But it's the fact that, okay, what happens if they don't? We'll go into all those scenarios and more. But moving on, final segment of the day, Arkansas will finish up their last series against Kentucky this weekend. Playing tonight. They'll do a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series, gearing up for postseason play next weekend. So they are, let's see, 5:30. So I don't know if we got an update on the score. Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to find an update on the score right quick on the baseball series, but
let's find out right quick. Arkansas baseball. Somebody in the comments, if y'all can
I'm looking up on Stat Broadcast right now, and
the last one I got was an hour ago, and it was 2-1.
2-1. Okay. I mean, I'm trying to. It's not letting me click, but when I click on the schedule, it just has the Kentucky game. It's not giving us. So it might live. Here we go. Live stats.
I do have a question though. Is no, it's 4-1, middle of the sixth, Kentucky.
Oof.
Okay. No, I just have a quick question. BBN, like, why don't y'all talk as much shit during baseball season?
Oh, they will now. They will now.
I'm sure.
But. Yes, this doesn't bode well. 4-1 right now, bottom of the sixth. You're looking at. Let's go home stats. You had visitor stats. So you had Dietz come in, rock solid. He gave up 3 earned runs in 5 innings pitched. You have 2 hits on the game. Ruiz got a hit and Aloy, 1 for 3 each. Guys, this is not. I mean. This is it's weird, Adam, when you talk about the baseball team, because this is one of those you're sitting here at.
It's because I'm wearing this shirt.
Yes, you're sitting at 34-18, but there's a lot of people that have you like 5th or 6th in the country, but yet you look at some of these publications, they don't even have you hosting a regional.
No, I don't think they will host a regional because there's a lot that I've seen that they're talking about Arkansas going to Oregon.
I've seen them being bounced around. And me and my coworker today was talking about that I think it's just the fact that you don't even know what this team is. You don't know who this team is. So you don't know, well, they might fall here and go out to Oregon. They might go to, I've seen Hattiesburg, then go to Southern Miss. I've seen a lot of different places. So it's you. I think because they don't know what you're going to get. I don't see this team getting out of a regional this year. I just talked to Kevin Bohannon a few weeks back, and there was a lot of stuff that he was saying about this team of what we've said. You get so used to winning that it's a little bit of an entitlement of you think just because you put that Arkansas uniform on, you're just going to win. And there's not that urgency to win anymore. With the game I went to against Little Rock, there was not that urgency in the outfield. There was not, your closer shouldn't come in and struggle against Little Rock, when you're an SEC pitcher. there's just a lot of red flags that I've been hearing from people around the program that the fans and you talk about the baseball fans is, they're their own animal.
Mhm.
They're their own fan base. So I mean, you kind of tread lightly with them because I mean that you're getting a pack of wolves on you. But
Mhm.
when you look at this team and you got to be real, if I'm going to compare this and if we're going to stay true to how we do things on this show, I don't see this team making it past the regional. I just don't see them being able to put 3-4 games together and not get bounced out. I don't see it from the pitching staff. And, when you come into this series, unless again, it's that entitlement, they think they're already a lock. They already think they're a lock to host. And now you're coming in here and you're down 4-1 in the first game against Kentucky. I don't like that
Mhm.
because you should be out there taking care of business. You want to win that Friday game, set the tone for the weekend. And now you're down 4-1 into 6. So
This is something that, about 3 to 4 weeks ago, it was like finally this team was kind of turning the corner. You kind of started seeing who they were, the team we've been looking for this entire season. They finally start having an identity. Now, granted, this is just the first game of this series, but like we've all talked about, and Dave Van Horn has talked about before too, on how important winning game one is of any SEC series. Regardless of if Arkansas ends up winning this series or not, I didn't think that they were going to host a regional. I thought that they were going to be, on the path. The teams that they were talking about this morning on Chuck and Bo that I was looking into, honestly, if they go up to Eugene, Oregon, and the teams that they were talking about playing, Arkansas could easily win. But then that would then put Arkansas in the UCLA Super Regional.
Ooh.
And at that point, no, sir, you're done.
Imagine, look at UCLA. Bring up UCLA for a second. They're the number one team in the country. I think they've only lost 9 games. Their stadium is horrible. Like, their stadium they play in is horrible. You don't have the crowds. They just go out and win. And it's almost like I feel bad because it is almost too late. Dave Van Horn's tenure for this. Say this team needs to be humbled this year. This program needs to be humbled. I don't know, because that sets Dave Van Horn back a year, and I think we're starting to lose hope that he's going to win it all. We don't know what kind of grip he has on the NIL. We don't know how much grip he has on recruiting anymore. I was talking to a guy in the media, and he's just like, he'll never win one because it's passed him by. Yeah. There's been so much that's changed in the facilities and all that stuff doesn't mean, especially in baseball anymore, because they want to go win a national championship. You can go to any school in the SEC and win. Well, you have almost. I don't know how many other SEC schools have won a national championship other than Arkansas. I want to say there's only 4 or 5. I don't know. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But when you're talking about winning and then going to the majors, people are going to LSU now. They're going to other schools in this era. And I'm not picking on LSU because they're by far a superior program than Arkansas. But the best of the best is not what gets you. The nostalgia, the program status doesn't, it's almost like when you played your NCAA football and you got to pick your prestige. Did you want to go there? Prestige doesn't matter anymore. It's money. And can you get me to the big leagues?
1,000%.
And more so than any other program because how hard it is. Somebody posed a question. I want to say it was DJ Williams about who has the harder path in football, basketball, or baseball to win a national championship. And I don't think it's even close that it's baseball, in my opinion, to win a national championship.
Oh yeah. The way that because first you got to deal with the conference tournament formats, but then even to get to Omaha and whatnot, I mean, the whole process is so grueling. And with the double eliminations, and then you go from double elimination to, it's just the back and the forth, and it's way too much.
The biggest thing is the fact that what is the other two? I'm going to see if you can answer what I'm thinking. What does the other two sports have that baseball doesn't when it comes to winning and being your best in a program?
Are you talking about tournaments?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just talking about winning. Get the path to, okay.
You could have one player. You can have one player in either one of those other two sports that define you, whether it's your number one draft pick in basketball or football is going to take that team a lot further, I feel like, than a number 1 draft pick in baseball.
Okay.
There's more me.
Let's go a step further than that. What if that was your pitcher?
Okay.
That was your pitcher, Kevin Kopps.
Okay.
So I want to see if you're picking up where I'm going with this. Or Skeens. What can that pitcher not do that a quarterback and a point guard can?
He can't play 2 games in a row.
Exactly. That is the biggest difference. You look at somebody who is as good as Kevin Kopps was, and they pitched him many times 2 out of 3 series and still couldn't get to win a national championship because it is that hard. The schedule, the format, and you're not having the ability to have your ace out there every single game to play. You don't have your starting 5 lineup every time. You don't have somebody that you can just bring in and they're automatically just as good as you.
Mm-hmm.
That starting pitching, it's overlooked a lot when everybody wants to automatically jump to football because you play in the SEC or basketball because of March Madness. The fact that you could have an All-American Golden Spikes Award winner, Paul Skeens-ish player, Kevin Kopps, and still not even get out of a super just because if they pitched game 1, what's the chances that they can come back and pitch in that if game?
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest difference to me.
So I get it.
Currently, top 7, we got 2 count, 1 out, nobody on. Robinette's at bat, 4-1. So keep track of that. Pivotal game 1. So if they do indeed drop this, let's see if they can dig themselves to the hole. I think there's a lot of people saying they needed to sweep this series to be a lot to host a regional. So if you drop this game 1, what's the strategy going to be going into Friday and Saturday? And then what does that put you in a position of how many games and how far in that SEC tournament you have to go? Or are they just going to accept their fate? And that's something else we'll talk more on Monday.
I think tonight, if Arkansas ends up losing tonight, I think Dave Van Horn, I'm not going to say throws everything out there tomorrow and Saturday, but he's going to obviously try to win the series. But at the same time, whether Arkansas wins the series or not, if they were to sweep or not, you weren't going to host a regional.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Well, best of luck to him. I mean, again, it's another program you would love to see. Dave, I mean, he deserves it more than anyone. I mean, Courtney Deifel too. If you want me to give you a hierarchy of who deserves a national championship at Arkansas, Dave, of course, because the tenure he's put in, and then, of course, how close he was. Deifel and softball, just being so close to getting Oklahoma City, deserves a trip to Oklahoma City. So we'll see how everything pans out when we come back. Adam, you got anything else?
I'm good.
All right. Sunday?
8:05, yeah, we'll be on.
Sunday, 8:05.
We'll be on. You'll be on. We'll be on. Everybody will be on.
Everybody will be on. So we'll get it. But before we go, don't forget also, go over to Bet Saracen, download the app, put in your promo code HOG250 for your first initial bet of $25 or more. You get $250 in free bets using promo code HOG250. Terms do apply. For Adam Hall, I am Porter Hayes. Want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Like I said, Hog HQ Live, Sunday, 8:05. Hog Talk will be back on Monday, 6:05, and we will catch you on Monday.